worth at least 2 silver coins. Valdoya, the confession, right? It's a shulas moedim miktas. The confession has to be at least a shava pruta, right? So one miktas is concede part of it as it should concede at least a shava pruta. Now, Taina Beishamar mean ma. The Taina Beishamai says has to be when it says shteikes was a mean, it means a ma. Beisil mean shteik ushtemo, and it has to be 2 mos. Mechapashi does in the Beishamai. So Beishamai sees the contradict itself. Tamani Irunamin over by us when they require money in order to effect Kiddushin, they said kesef dinar. They say that you require a dinar, which is actually 6 mo's, 6 mo'in. The kohen normally gets a mo. Here they say 1 mo is enough in order to constitute a taina claim doraisa. So we're talking about money doraisa. It should both be equivalent. That's the more's understanding. And therefore, also mechafa shitas at the Beis Hill, we have a contradiction in Beis Hill as well. Tamini Ramin, there they say kesef pruta, that money is considered to be a pruta. The Kohen Rami here they say kesef ishtei moin. They say that money is considered to be a pruta, meaning by kiddushin they say it's enough to be mekadosh woman to give her a pruta. Yet by the taina of moedim miktas, they say that the money which must be demanded is 2 moin, which is much more than a pruta, so considerably more. Rabbi Yaakov, exactly how much as I remember, but the Gemara is actually going to go through it later on, but it's type of stuff which I never remember. Rabbi Yaakov said, Beishamai learns from the initial sale of an Amoivriya. Do you have the place?
No, I was just looking at the mission.
Okay. Matchilas mechirasa. Matchilas mechirasa b'dinar. A woman who was sold as an Amoivriya must be sold for a dinar, and we're going to learn that out in a few minutes. Av kiddusha b'dinar, sold to a woman who sold in the kiddushin, also it's a dinar. Beisil made him Beisil learns from what she might have left at the end of her working off her servitude. At the end of her working off her servitude, Ma'asov Gira B'Pruta, she'll have a Pruta left in her working off her servitude, and that's the minimum amount of money left in, and that is significant for reasons we haven't yet discussed, but we'll discuss momentarily. Av Kiddusha B'Pruta, so to her Kiddushin also takes place with the Pruta. My time in the base sham, and now we're going to discuss the reason. Shenemar, it says, Yotachina Mein Kesef. It says she go through, if she becomes an adult in slavery, she goes free without paying money. So it says, what are we, morons? It says, Chinam, don't I know that means no money? I'm not a moron, I know that. So Matam or Mein Kesef, why I say in Kesef? From here we see Shanim Kura that she must have been sold B'Kesef Yoiser Mikesef. She must be sold with money, which is more than money. Now, the Gemara is going to ask, how do you know it's money more than money, right? But it's not a minimum, that's what Gemara is saying. She was sold for money, and not the minimum amount of money. Why is that? We don't know, but the Gemara is assuming that to be true. The Kama Yoiser Mikesef, she was sold for money, which is more than money? Dinner. She was sold for a dinner. Says the Gemara, who says it's Yoiser Mikesef? Maybe it's maybe even it's, maybe Yoiser Mikesef doesn't mean a dinner. Maybe it's two prutos. Two prutos. As the Gemara says in the next line, perhaps we'll say Kesef is a pruto. And Yoiser Mikesef, more than money, is shtei prutos. Who says it's a mom or a dinner? Who says it's let it be 2 prutos? So it says the Gemara, Sof matbea kesef more. The minimum amount of a silver coin is a more. Interesting as far as Beishamai. Beishamai holds Torah money in the Torah is silver. The smallest coin which has silver content is a more. So therefore it must at least be a more. Now it's not, it's a dinar, which is 6 times the more. The more it's going to ask, so how do we get up to a dinar? But it can't be a pruta. You can't sell for a pruta, it's got to be at least the more. Okay? So now Gemara asks, so it says Gemara, v'teima. So if you have to sell for silver, fine. But let it be precisely more. Why more than a more? So Rabbi Bun B'Shem, Rabbi Yehuda Bar Pazi said, Rabbi Vilna said, Rabbi Bar Pozi, Shim Biksha Ligara Migaras Bima B'chol Shana V'Yoitzo. That if she wants to go out by working off her servitude, she has to be able to deduct from her price every year until she works it off, right? So, or until she can afford to buy herself off from the rest. So, a dinar is 6 mo's, so that would correspond to a ma per year. That's okay. If it's anything less than a dinar, it won't divide up equally. So therefore, the fact that we really looked at what the minimum amount of money doraisa is, and we said that that's a ma, and we times that by 6 of 6 years of servitude in order to get up to the dinar, which is 6 mo's. Okay? So far, so good? So,
Yoser Kesef, could that be my own interpretation of new coins versus old coins? No,
I don't think so, because what we're learning out really, although we haven't said it explicitly, the reason why it becomes Yerushalmi Kiddushin is because we want to be able to be Megareh Pidyoina. We want to be able to work off for money. So that has really nothing to do with the old or new coins. Okay, that would have to do with the amount of the money and how it could be then broken down. Right, exactly. So it says the Gemara, V'tigar b'pruta. Let her work off a pruta every year, right? Who said she works off a ma every year? So it says, Rabbi Boone said, no, come on. That was a true magic. She wants to work off her 6th year, right? So how's she going to work it off? She begins the year owing a pruta. The Sokir pruta. How can it ever be less than a pruta? The moment it says a pruta, it's not money anymore, right? So therefore, it's not possible to talk about giron of a year based on pruto. So therefore, the only giron which works for a year is the giron of a ma. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. So it says the Gemara, and that's what it said, that she initially begins the year owing a ma per year, and she works it off gradually till the end of the year, until she has until pruta, the last pruta, when she finally goes free. My time the Beis Hill. Now, how does Beis Hill know that a pruta is enough to enact Kiddushin? So, Imasha but pruta, since when she finally goes free, the last step in a giruin is a pruta, right? Because she's constantly deducting pruta by pruta. So, at Yodesh Kiddusha b'pruta, right? Then you know that her Kiddush is b'pruta. Why? Because ilu lo nishtar sham el shava pruta. If there was only a shava pruta left of her labor, shem enim garasa v'yoto, can she not deduct that and then go out? Well, because shem shesof kriya pruta, just like there's giruin in the final step. There's giruin in which she's working off a pruta. Av kiddusha, so to buy kiddushin b'pruta. So kiddushin is also pruta. In other words, whatever shear is the minimum shear which you can work off by an amma is the minimum shear which implies to enacting kiddushin, which is a pruta. Okay, is that clear? We're now not from the initial sum for which she sold, but rather from the final amount which she finally deducts with her last bit of work. Okay. So it says the Gemara, Chashitas and Beis Hill. Getting to the other case, the case of shiur. Mechav Shitas and Beis Hill. Since the Chashitas and Beis Hill. See if it says Kitin Ish El Re'eu for the individual gives his friend Kesef or Kalim, money or vessels lishmar to safeguard. So Imla may train basis. So what does it mean Kesef or Kalim? If it's going to tell us it has to be dafka kesef, and that there's no small claims court for under a pruta. Again, ilula made even the sort they just shame based in his cooking the public shara pruta. That based in the United in judgment over less than a shara pruta. So Kfar it says already lashmaba, that which there is guilt over, There's only guilt over pruta or more, pruta where there's no guilt involved. So matam lomer kesef. So that's case why it's a kesef, right? That yisha yiten reo kesef okain lishmor. So why it's a kesef? So obviously, otherwise there need no room for any dispute, right? The mikanchi yesh kan yoser mikesef. There must be that it's more than money. What's more than money? V'kam yoser mikesef shtei moin. That's be a claim of 2 moin. So wait a minute. Who says 2 moin? Maybe okay, and the counterclaim, of course, is only 1 more, which is might have mixed us. Maybe okes would be pruta, I'm sorry. Or perhaps kesef would be pruta. Yes, kesef is shtei pruta. That's how do we drive it all the way up to a mo or 2 mos? So it's more self matbea kesef mo. So look, in the Torah we're talking about silver coins, and the minimal silver coin is a mo. So it says, okay, fine. So let it be 1 more. Let the claim be a more, and the counterclaim be whatever it is. But Lamais, why do we have? Why is only 1 more, not 2 mos? Says a more, or 2 but not 2 more. So it says more okalim. It says in pasuk more okalim, the coinage or the vessels. Ma kalim shine, just like vessels. You need 2 vessels because he has to claim 2, and the other guy's moed on 1. That's moed b'miktas, right? He concedes on 1 of them. So I've kesef shnayim. So 2 money, it's got to be 2. So if it's got to be 2, it's got to be 2 moed. That must be the minimal charge. Ma'amekayim beishamay okalim. Now, what is beishamay? You say only 1 more is necessary. Why do you do it okalim? Well, you need kalim in the pasuk. 1 more is enough. So the word kalim seems to be superfluous. So no, it's, of course, not superfluous. Kadad the Tani, like we learned, Nosamer says, "O Kalim, Urabos Kli Cheres." He says that when it says Kesef O Kalim, it means that Kli Cheres, right? The pottery. That's the word I'm looking for. So by pottery, if normally I would say if I claim you pottery and you respond pottery, that's not going to be mixed. That's because pottery is not significant. Pottery in the old days was quite cheap, right? So if it's not significant, nowadays it's an art form, but in the old days it's quite cheap. So if that's the case, why does it say okalim? It must be coming in okay to include even cheap and insignificant kalim, that there's a concept of all the prohibitions apply to that. Okay? So that's even kli cheres. So if I claim 2 kli cheres, and you more than 1 kli cheres, so you take a shavuos moed and mix us the rights against me. Because you basically moed to part of it. Okay, the kli cheres is insignificant. Nevertheless, you have to take shavuos over them as well. Shmuel continues along these veins. He says, if I claim you 2 needles, you could see 1 of them. Chayev, you're liable to a shavua, right? China said, no, let's not be that stringent. It's only if there were 2 prutos, because it says, kesef okim, that's got to be double of everything, right? In order that it should be carrying equally. I'm sorry. It's all part of the question. Again, Rabbi Chanan said, 2, you can claim 2 needles, and he concedes on 1. But it's not really a question, it's a statement. Rabbi Chanan said they have to be worth at least 2 prutos. Even though if it was money, it might have to be worth more than that, right? Because you need money d'oraisa. But in this case, if we're talking about prutos, so in that case, I'm not sure what I just said. Not sure what I was just saying is correct. Let's just scratch it from the record. Let's make it very simple. If you have 2 needles, they're not worth a mall for sure, right? But the more saying, even according to Beisil, they at least have to be worth a pruta. Because you got to be dealing with monetary claims, otherwise it's not a monetary claim. So they have to each be worth a pruta. I can see one of them and not the other one. That's might have been miktas, right? That's what Beis Hillel is saying. Beis Shammai is Beis Shammai argues. Beis Shammai who says that a claim of a more is significant in and of itself. That would only that would be going like Kesef being learned, not being learned from Kalim, right? That's going to be Shammai, the low Yalif Kesef and Kalim. We don't need to learn money from Kalim. So since we don't learn money from Kalim, so therefore you only need one money, not two monies. Okay? Like Beis Hillel, Dina Yalfi Kesef and Kalim, just because they learn money out from Kalim, not Kalim Shtayim, just like Kalim 2, Av Kesef Shtayim, so two, money is two. The Kavos and vice versa, just like money is worth 2 moim, af kalim, so to the kalim involved have to be shtei moim, have to be worth 2 moim. So actually, this seems to be a kula Beis Shammai, this whole story, because it's not a kula, it's a chumrah. It's a chumrah because they even by 1 more, you can still have shvur deraisa. According to Beis Hillel, in order to be mighty mixes, need to have a shvur of 2 moim, a concession of 1 more. In Beis Hillel, we don't make that necessarily such a heckish. Yes, if it's money, it's got to be, the claim at least has to be a more. But if it's anything else, right, as long as it's over Shava Pruta, that's sufficient. That's already considered to be a claim to which a counterclaim can be registered. Am I making myself claim it all? Clear at all? Is that clear at all?
Say that again.
Beis Shammai says 1 more is enough. A claim of 1 more is enough to, even though a claim of more and Odah Pruta are enough to be M'chayv Shulos Moedim Miktzos. Beis Shammai, the Beis Hillel says you need 2. Why is that? Because Beis Hillel draws a linkage Kesef o Kalim, and Kalim means 2, right? So from this they need 2 monies, and vice versa, they also derive that the Kalim have to be worth a more apiece. Okay? Because it's a 2-way street. We learned that you need 2 and you need most. According to Beis Shammai, no, there's no way streets. There are no connections either way. If you tie in a money, you have to tie in a 2 money, right? And the concession is 1. If you tie in a kalim, you have to tie in a 2 kalim and the concession is 1. But they don't have to be worth a shava pruta. Shava pruta is not a critical component. Right? I mean, sorry, they have to be worth a more. They have to be shava pruta because it has to be a legitimate claim in court, but they don't have to be worth a more. Okay. So it says, now, top down mouth was really a repeat from Yevamis. Aval b'shnehu Beis Shammai Beis Hillel b'tzoros u'va'achios u'v'get yoshan, even though they argued about potential mamzerus by co-wives, whether Torah Tzerva is misyabemis or not, achios, whether when sisters exempt from yibum or chalitza, beget yoshan by a get which is given and then they slept together, husband and wife. V'savik HTC, the question of HTC, Mekadosh b'shal pruta, where the Kiddushin shal pruta is sufficient. From Megaro, you need a dinar. From Megaro, Shishton, when you divorced your wife, the learning about Pundikin, then you went to the motel afterwards. V'isham iskadesh b'dinar b'shav a dinar, whether a dinar or shav a dinar as opposed to pruta. Even though that these basically about the nature of Kiddushin, Lo nimnu Beis Shammai lisa nashim Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai not refrain from marrying women from Beis Hillel's house. For Beis Hillel Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel not refrain from marrying women from Beis Shammai's house. Elo noagim be'emes u'sholom. They conduct themselves with truth and with peace. Remember it says, for emes v'sholom ehavu, love peace and truth. Not peace, love peace and truth. Well, love truth and peace. It says more, I understand. Mamzer is going to sign. There's a shell Mamzer is here, right? Obviously, what Beis Shammai make on my Mamzer, Beis Hillel not, and vice versa. But and you give us this beautiful, beautiful concept of shalom. We have a Mamzeris. Mamzeris overrides all shalom issues, right? So it says the Gemara. Here, Chavi, the word to you about it. Kidesh Rishon B'Shol Pruta. In other words, what's the case of Mamzerus in our scenario? So the Kidesh Rishon B'Shol Pruta, Ruvain comes to Mekadesh Leo with the Shavar Pruta, right? Vasheni B'Dinar, and then Shimon comes to Mekadesh with a valid dinar. Al Daitan Beishami, according to Beishami, who says he needed dinar, Mukudesh L'Sheni, she's married to the second guy. Vavlav Mamzer Rishon, and any kid she has something with the first guy is a Mamzer. Al Daitan Beisil, according to Beisil, says the exact opposite. Right? Beisil says that we don't look at the dinner, we look at the pruta, right? So therefore, Mekudesh Rishon, she's married to the first guy. Vlad Mamzer Mina Sheni, and the Vlad is Mamzer the second guy because they're already married to the first guy. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi Shem Yochanan said Modim Beis Shammai. Now here are a bunch of typos. Shavei Beis Shammai Le Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai because it's actually an answer. Beis Shammai teaches Beis Hillel equal Chumrin that we consider whenever they give a shor pruta, that's Mekudesh, so we don't wait till we get to dinner. Now, if that's the case, that's more, it should be, again, switching and transposing. Beis Hillel Yusu Nashim Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel's got the Shammai's got the kula. So Beis Hillel should refrain from marrying into Shammai's families, because Shammai's have the kulas, right? So again, Be'ata Beis Hillel, change the girsa, Yusu Nashim Beis Shammai, they should be able to marry from Beis Shammai, Dina Modulu, because Beis Shammai concedes the point. I think I just said it wrong when I said it before reading Sfedik Gemara. Again, Me'ata Beis Hillel Yisu Nashim Beis Shammai Dina Modulon. No, I got it right. Beis Shammai is more machmir, so let Beis Hillel marry from Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai Yisu Nashim Beis. It should be Hillel, not Shema. Beis Shammai will marry women from Beis Hillel. Why? The lace in a Modulon. They don't concede the point to them on these kulas which Beis Hillel says. So it says the Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan Shem Yana said, "Elu ve'elu kaloch." So if that's the case. I'm sorry. How can they ever marry each other, right? If they each one follow their own halacha. So it says, Rabbi Yochanan Shem Rabbi Yonah said, Ilu elu ve'elu kalocha yosim. In the bottom line, they all follow the Paschal. Famous Paschal. What does the Paschal say? What does the Paschal say? What? No. That's not the Paschal, it's Rabbi Yeshua.
It's a good Paschal.
What?
It's up to us to decide.
But what did the Paschal say? Paralog Beis Hillel. Right, it looks like Beis Hillel. So we paskin like that Paschal. You remember that for the end of first Perky Bomas? We have the same Gemara here. Yeah. What? Remember it. Okay. So it says, wait a minute. In Chalacha Yosef, they both follow Halacha Beis Hillel. The Dati concerned this, we learned the following Gemara. Sholcha Beis Shammai, in Yerushalmi there was this mikveh, which they made Torah through Ashaka, right, through connections to rainwater. So Beis Hillel says all you need is like the two etzbos, like we did. The Shabbos says you need a wall which is mostly destroyed. So Beis Shammai said the message of Basur, they destroyed the wall between the mikveh and the pool holding the rainwater. Beis Shammai says Achivchos Beruba, until you diminish the majority of the enclosure. Rabbi Yossi Barabun. So if that's the case, that's the case, let me finish the question. Beis Shammai holds that obviously Beis Shammai would follow their own psak. Because by Shokas Yehu, they're machmir over Beis Hillel. They made the hole bigger. So how come, if they conceded to the halacha given by the Basko, how can they make their own psak? So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Berbibun, actual Ba Maisa Eitzel Beis Hillel. Until Beis Hillel Paskin Halacha L'Maisa, in the words Beis Hillel had an inclination to certain things, but they hadn't yet Paskin. They hadn't brought to the Paskin. The Paskin had Paskin Halacha L'Maisa. So actual Pasku, Beis Hillel, actual Ba Maisa Eitzel Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai Dogin Ba. Beis Shammai used to follow their line of reasoning. However, once the Beis Hillel used to render psak, then Beis Shammai would subordinate themselves to the psak of Beis Hillel. Rabbi Amori said, Vios, it makes sense. Matzin, and what do we learn over there? Timu Taras Mafreya. It says that when they made Shokas Yehu, and they widened the breach in the wall, whatever they did in order to connect. So then they made Tomei all the taros which happened retroactively, but not any time in the future when Basil came along. In other words, the more Basil appeared on the scene of Pascha and Locha their way, so then they went L'Kula. The only Matara Taros until Basil came on the scene. Okay? Once Basil came on the scene, they conceded immediately to his psak, whatever it was, and it's not recorded here. So it says the Gemara by Shokas Yehu. Oh, we know what the psak is, though. The psak is obviously that the Yerushalmi can follow the line of reasoning until they're found out. So says the Gemara, again, already Abamori. Vios makes sense. Martin, where we learn Timutaris Mafreya. They only retroactively made the Taros Tomei. Lomi Kanava not from Mirin. Rav Yosef, Bunamar, Yispalgan, Rav Shmuel, said Rav Shmuel argued. Chadara once said, Elu Velu Kalocha Yosin, everybody did that like the Basco came out. The other one said, V'choron Amar, Elu Velu Kilchosan. Elu Kilchosan, Velu Kilchosan. Sorry, everybody found their own halacha. In other words, we didn't compel any halachic standards on them. Says Mar Mamzeris ben Asayim, you're going to say like this, so we didn't compel any standards on them, because I have more very general ones. So it says more, Hamakam Mishamer, Ira Maisami Oilom. Says more, the Mamzerus issue is not an issue, because there was never any case which turned up in actual life which would have been Mamzerus according to Beis Shammai and kosher according to Beis Hillel, or vice versa. Everything always reconciled into real life. The Torah on this matter is completely hypothetical. Never actually came to fruition. Therefore, it wasn't a problem. There was never any Mamzerus issue. Mamzerus issue would have been if the subject arose. The subject never arose. Okay? It's interesting. The Yerushalmi Bavli gives a different answer. The Bavli says that when Mamzerus issues arose, they would let each other know. Bisham would say, this woman is a Mamzerus according to you. Basil would say, that woman is a Mamzerus according to you. Right? But they never actually confronted you. They never actually, according to Basil, Bavli, they did actually confront the problem. According to Yerushalmi, they never actually confront the problem because the nace occurred and prevented the problem from evolving during that whole period. Okay? Says the Gemara, nevertheless, those who follow the psakim of Beis Hillel exclusively, Beis Shammai exclusively, we say to them like this. The time we learn, anybody who wants to be machmer upon himself, Lino Chumre Beis Shammai Chumre Beis Hillel to conduct himself the Chumras of Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai Beis Hillel both. So if that's the case, Al Zen Amar, a person who wants to both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, it says about him, Aksil B'Choshech Cholech, the fools walk in darkness. If a person wants to be makel like both Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, Nikarosha, he's called an evildoer because he's just looking for kulos, right? Ella, rather, Okadive Beis Shammai b'kulein chumer, either you follow Beis Shammai in his kulos and chumras, Okadive Beis Hillel, you follow Beis Hillel, kikulein chumer in his kulos and chumras. Okay? So, that's the case. You have to follow one line of thought consistently, not pick and choose. So it says the Gemara, this is all until the Basco came out, that we could split up. Mishiyotza Basco, once the Basco came out, Lolam halacha divrei Beis Hillel, then halacha is always like Beis Hillel. L'chover divrei Beis Hillel, when anybody transgresses the words of Beis Hillel, chayim misa. Okay, he's liable to the death penalty. Yotza a Basco v'amra, another voice came out and said, everybody here is right. About loch k'tiver biso, loch is like biso. Eichon yotze basko, where does basko come out? Rabbi b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said b'yavne b'yotze basko. The basko came on the yavne. We say on the yavamas, it came on the yavne because that way you could pass in shilas, because it appears in Sanhedrin it can pass in shilas as opposed to if it just appears in an individual's heart in the middle of nowhere. Okay? V'kami pruta. Going on to more boring stuff. V'kami pruta. What's the shiur pruta? The shiur pruta is echam mishmanu b'Yisrael talki, 1/8 of an Italian isser. Tani we learned the isser echam mishmanu arba dinar kesem. This is 1/24 of a dinar of silver. Dinar kesem, dinar kesem echam mishmanu arba is another gersa sum chamesh. It's 1/25. The dinars of a dinar zof. Tani Rabbi Chia learned in Rabbisa, Silla is arba dinarim, the sell is 4 dinarim. Sheish ma kesem, which is 6 ma of money. Dinar shtei pundion, a dinar is 2 pundion. Ma is shnei yisurin, and ma is 2 yisurin. Pundion shtei mas musin. Pundion has 2 mas musin. I don't even know mas musin more. Mas mus. Oh yeah, it's a type of coin. Pundion shnei masu misin. Isor shnei kardiniutim. You get the idea, right? Misumis shtei prutos. Kardiut is salkin. They register 1/32 of a ma. Rabbi Zira said, Rabbi Simon, this is Rabbi Simon, Rabbi Seno, and our older rabbis. Also, some echad michavdal ma. They said a prut is 1/24 of a ma. Then Rosh Gamliel says, Shlosha Dorsim, there are 3 entities which, no, Dorsim is a coin. Literally it means a bird of prey. Shlosha Dorsim is a ma. Shnei Nitzim, which literally means 2 eagles, but is also a coin, is a drusa. Shnei Sharmin, I don't know what that is a Nitzim, another form of a fight. Shtei Plutos Sharmin, Salkin, if you have two Pruto Shaman, not sure what Shaman is, I forgot. Some type of Pruto, obviously. So Shtei Pruto Shaman is a Salkin. And there's 1/24 of those in a ma. Rechina Rabbi Mora and Rabbi Chanin, Rechina Mora Rabbi Chanin Amar, Machlok Rabbi Chanin Rabbi Mora. Rechina says, Machsha, the copper. See, this is the thing which we haven't really discussed now. We'll discuss extensively in Baal Basra. What fluctuates? Copper coins or silver coins? When the fluctuation occurs in the price, is what's actually fluctuating? Is it free fall, both are fluctuating, or is the silver fluctuating and the gold not, or vice versa? So it's a legitimate question on halacha, right? That's with how you pay, who you pay, things like that, right?
In those days, I thought the precious metals didn't fluctuate.
What?
I thought in those days...
Everything fluctuated slightly. The question is what actually fluctuated the most.
I'd say the non-precious.
Okay, so it says the Gemara. Again, Rabbi China and Rabbi Mora had a machlokas. So Rabbi China Amar, the copper is static. Kaspa zol, kaspa yakir, silver goes up and down in price. Rabbi Mora Amar, kaspa basrei kaim, the silver is static. Kanaksha, the copper, is what goes, kaim, fluctuates. Kaim naksha yakir. I'm not sure how to punctuate this is. Kaspa bas, I got it. Silly me. Kaspa basri kayim. The money the silver stays in place. Naksha yakir, naksha zol, and the copper goes up and down in price. So we have machlokas, what goes up at the price, what fluctuates? Is it the silver fluctuates, or is it the copper fluctuates? So Daita Rabbi Chanina, Gon Rabbi Chanina, who says that it's the copper fluctuates, And so the Torah benchmark is that li'olam, it's always in here, it should be an 8 instead of a 6. L'olam shmona nashim miskachos be'isor. 8 women can adorn themselves for the price of an isor, which is a which is the because not an isor. Yeah, and because the price of an isor, even though it changes from 8 to 6, that's not the capital increasing or losing, but rather the use of the land. I'm not explaining it properly. You have here if the isser is static, it doesn't matter how many prutas there are. We go by how many prutas there were in the isser desman Mount Torah, and there were always 8. There were 8 at the time Mount Torah. So even if it fluctuates later on, we go after that 8. But if you say the isser fluctuates and the pruta is static, so it's only as many. It's only sometimes it's going to be 6, and sometimes it's going to be 8, because then, if the pruta is static, so the silver fluctuates, and silver actually goes down in price. So therefore, it's going to be chuyt to bring less. No, you can marry less.
To be more.
You can marry less women. Because your prutos, if your isser actually fluctuates, you're actually worth less prutos. Okay, if you're saying the isser never fluctuates, it's always 8 women. Since it fluctuates, it can go up to 6 or down to 10, and so on and so forth. Okay, depending on all the costs involved. So says the Gemara, depending on the inflation. So says more again. It's always 8. Sometimes it fluctuates. Okay, this is a story which occurs throughout Shas. Chilfa Amar, that's Ilfa, said, Aisvunia Gufnar, this is after he came back from going to work, and Rabbi Yechon that remained behind became the Rosh Hashiva. He said, Aisvunia Kefnar, put me on the riverbank. If I'm not able to trace a brisa which Rabbi Chia the Great said in a Mishnah, Sakulinar, throw me into the river. They said, well, we'll give you a first shot. But Rabbi Chia taught us, Sila arba dinar, and Masela is 4 dinar. Where do you see that in the Gemara, right? So they thought they'd trick him up on currency, right? Armulin said, we also learned We also learned this, how much can the seller be missing and still be inserted to have a noach and attached to it? Or our boy says, or man says, be missing 4 souls. May isla dinner when there's an isla in the dinner. So what do we see here? That how many isars are in the dinner here? Right. It says here that Onoah is, I know exactly how it's working, but I'm not, it's because they're not sure the cheshbon. Let's read it again. V'atani, this is the 6th line down. V'atani, Rabbi Chia said, a sila is our bod dinar, himself 4 dinar. So he said, I'm not in this, we learned this Mishnah. Kamate hasela chasera. How much could seller be lacking below yebo or no? There's no short changing. Remember, arba yisos b'meisah dinner. Arba yisos when the arba yisos meisah dinner when an isser is. That still doesn't make sense. You can't make an isser get an isser for a dinner. Oh, so Korban changes. It's 40 stars from a seller, which itself you have a question? Okay. You know what? I can't figure this out now, and I really don't care. I'm sorry it's on tape. But somehow or another, this is a cheshbon of how many Sloim there are in an Isser. the sorrows. I know. The sorrows, yeah, I know too. What can I do? It's that kind of Gemara. Anyway, this whole Gemara is about Rabbi Chia. The gist of it is Rabbi Chia is trying to prove you can show all the measures of the amounts of money which are mentioned in the Brises in Mishnayos. Okay? That's very exciting to us, right? Says the Gemara. Okay. So, again, he asked the question, what about this Mishnah, this Bris Rabbi Chia? So he said, I found a Mishnah. Again, this Mishnah which says, I'm not medisa kamete yisel chasev lo yeh boyanoya, and mer boysos is a dinar. Amalei, he said, by the time Rabbi Chia sheshma kesef in a dinar, Amalei, afanana medisa, we also learned this as well. No, arba kesef, mesrim arba kesef, lusela, shtus lemekach. It's there, okay? If you make the cheshbon, it comes out. Trust the Gemara. Amalei, by the time Rabbi Chia shnei pudyonim more, that's and in a cell, there are 2 dinarim. So it means that there's, there are 24 dinarim. So that means that 24 moles. So that means there are 2 pudyonim in a mo. Okay? Avalona Amaleva time Rabbi Chia Shnei Yisraim is a pudyon. So Amaleva said, Avalona B'disa, we also learned this. So somebody learned left an Isser to redeem Meiser Sheni on it. V'ochel v'chetzu ate half of it. V'ochel corresponding to half of it. V'ochel went elsewhere. But you get to a punyon, and then my share is with a punyon. Most will avoid Isar, he adds on an Isar. From this we learn that 2 Isars of punyon, again we take on faith. We said, so we learn about tiny, we learn Rabbi Chia said, Shtei Masmusim is an Isar. Shtei Kartinas is a Mesumas. Shtei Plutos are Kartintas. So he said, believe it or not, we find this in the Mishnah as well. I'm not going to learn from the Mishnah, Kami Pruta, how much the Pruta Egam Shmona V'Yisra Italki, and that somehow or another that tells us everything else. Okay. On we go. New sugya. We're trying to wake up again. So the Kohen has a get. A woman acquires herself with a get. How do we know that? Let's quote from a Mishnah. The Chesivit says, "V'kosela say Berkisus right for a bill of divorce." Mishabah, we know she acquires herself when her husband died. The Chesivit says, "Okay, Amusi Shachron." It says, if she marries a guy, that guy divorces her, and then she goes and marries a second guy. If that guy dies or divorces her, she can't go back to the first guy, right? So it says the second guy died, right? So I could do misoso shel achron. So we see that the last guy's death exempts her, and theoretically she can go back to anybody else except for the first guy. But what about misoso shel rishon? What about the death of his first husband? Does that release her as well? Says more, of course it does. My ma'achos, the death of her second husband, shenet torat temur, but doesn't permit her to many people because she can't go back to her first husband, right? After misa materes, you say that there permits her to the marketplace, right? Rishon, the first guy, her first husband, if he dies, sheteret temur, which is matir to anybody else, right? Unrestrictedly. Should not death be matir there? So says the Moran, that's a logic. Rabbi Chuna said, so I have a better proof that Misa permits a woman. You'll see if it says, in our parsha, this week's parsha, the 2 brothers together. One of them dies, and he has no kids, so then you do Yibum. So it sounds like quite clear. And the Yeshlo Ben, if he had a son, Misa Materis, the death itself is the heter, you don't need any heter. Boone said, Misa Materis. I have circumstantial evidence that Misa permits a wife. Why is that? Because we don't say that. So then, how do you ever have the case how can you ever have a widow who's permitted to marry anybody else except for Kohen Gadol if Misa is not a matter? So obviously Misa must permit a woman to get married to the marketplace, right? Otherwise it wouldn't be kind of the Kohen Gadol. The moral says it wouldn't be Shar Grushim Chalutza Kohen Hedia, but the Shar Teresol says it's just schlepped along here because obviously Grushim Chalutza have nothing to do with death. We're talking about death. Says Marbi Elchon Bar Maryam. Melchon said no, it's not right. Could be Tipater B'Yavama. Maybe it's talking about the case of Amon Kohen Gadol. It's talking about a case where the Amona falls to him as a Yavama. Who says that Amona was mutter from a third party? Mara doesn't resolve that. Because we know Ray Misa Sabal is matir. or the other places, but we go on to other things. Yivama Yavoleh. How do we know that Yibum is acquired via Bia? Because it says Yivama Yavoleh, Zubia, that's Bia. V'lokochol Ishon, this is a price we haven't had since Yivamas, so we had this Yivamas. Kochol Ishon, he acquires her for a wife. Zua Maimer. This Tanakama holds Maimers to Raisa, okay? Yochel Kushem, and we had this, of course, Yivamas. Yochel Kushem Shabia Gomeres, but we say like Bia, it's a complete acquisition of Yivama. Kachia Maimer Gorva, so to Maimer is a complete acquisition of Yivama. Tam Lomer Yivama, Yivma. So besides Kochoy, you also need Yivma. Iraka, Parshkula, change the nation, Dar, Pierre Parsha, Yibum to say that Maimer's not enough, and need Yibum as well. So what does Maimer do? Then again, it's going to be the Maimer's Doraisa. Habia Gomerespa. Bia completes the process of acquire. Vena Maimer going above. Maimer does not complete the process. In came Moil Bo Maimer, so Maimer to complete the process. What does Maimer do? Only Loso Achim. Means you can't get Misabem explaining the other brothers just by this one. Rabbi Shimon Omer, the famous sheet of Rabbi Shimon. Maimer Okone Olokone. Maimer either works or doesn't work, right? If my time, Rabbi Shimon, what does Rabbi Shimon say? What's the logic of Rabbi Shimon? Yavama Yavol, Yavam has relations to her. Zabia, right? Ulukachol Isha, Zamaimer, right? The Bia, Ulukachol is the Maimer, right? Kishem Shabil Gomeres, but either we say just like Bia completes the process, Kachia Maimer Gomer Boso, to Maimer completes the process. Oh, in which case it would be a complete kinyan. Oh, Yivama Yavola, or maybe Maimer's died all Metchir. Rather, way to read the passage is Yivama Yavola, Varei Lakucho Lo, and by the Bia she's acquired, by Maimer, Lo Hoil Baklum. And according to that, the word Maimer is just obliterated, and Maimer now doesn't work at all. So either Maimer works altogether, because Bia and Lakicha is the same thing, or Maimer doesn't work at all, because the Bia is accomplished Lakicha and not anything else. Okay? Rabbi Lezer Achomer, we'll also remember this from Yavamas, HaMaimer Koine Kinin Gomri Yavama. Maimer, it's a complete acquisition by Yavama. My time, Lezer Ben Arach, what's the logic of Lezer Belach? L'kochol lo lisha, she should take him for a wife. Harei hu kiki dushe lisha, so we learned that a woman, that a Yavama is like a regular isha. Maki dushe isha, just like the dushe isha, Koine Kinan Gyomer V'Yavama, they're complete Kinan by Yavama, Ava Maimer Koinem V'Yavama. So to Maimer requires Koine Kinan Gomer V'Yavama. Eisu Maimer V'Yavama, what is Maimer V'Yavama? Ared Mekudesh Sliba Kesef V'Shavah Kesef. Right, the same with Lashon you have by Kiddushin is Maimer by Yavama. So this is all just to explain what it said in our Mishnah, Yavama is Niknes B'Biyah. Okay, we'll stop here for this evening. Pick up here in Hashem tomorrow evening. The second, it gets more interesting after the Mishnah. Actually, at the end of this, tomorrow it gets interesting right away.